Welcome to my channel. I'm Ashley. Today we're going to be going over my December reading wrap-up. I read 10 books in December. I very rarely have DNFs, but there were two that I just couldn't. And we'll go through those first. So we'll go through the DNFs, and then we'll go through all the horror books, and then we'll go through the non-horror. So let's get into it. So first of all, the two DNFs I had. One of them is a DNF that I just will never go back to. And it is non-horror. Christmas at Fireside Cabins by Jenny Hale. I don't know if I'm just not the right audience for this. I think it's considered romance. And I've read romance before and I've enjoyed it. And I just thought, hey, I need something light and fluffy and festive for Christmas so that it's not all horror. Because I thought at Christmas time, just something light and, light and fun might be good for Christmas. So I picked this one up and I just couldn't. And I very rarely talk badly about books, but this is about a group of girls. Lila is the main character, and she puts together this little trip to the cabins for her and her girlfriends as like the last trip they're going to take together for a while, because they're all doing their own things. They've got careers, they've got lives, and she's the only one who, just isn't really moving on from that. So she doesn't have a boyfriend, she doesn't really have any family. So her friend group has just been kind of it. But my biggest complaint with this, it would have been cute because, the cabin was cute and the atmosphere was cute because it was Christmassy. They did a lot of Christmas decorating and there was baking and all the Christmas things. So the atmosphere was there. My problem is, so pretty much the day they get into town, they run into this cute guy at the coffee shop, and Lila cannot stand it that he is just not giving her the time of day, and he's cute and all that, but she fixates on that the entire time. I think I got maybe 100 pages in, if that. But she just could not get past it. Like, why doesn't he like me? Why isn't he paying attention to me? And she just kept going back and kept she would go and try to put a wreath on the coffee shop door and crap like that. You're giving this guy so much attention and so much of your time if he's not into you. I don't understand. Move on. And maybe that's just the trope. Maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe I just don't understand romance, but I don't understand why she was so fixated on this man that just obviously he's just not giving her the time of day, and she just was so obsessed with it the whole time. And then there was a lot of repetitive language in it. Like, she just kept repeating the same things, like, oh, I don't have a family, I don't have a family, I don't have a family. This just makes me think of my family. This just makes me think of my lost loved one. And it's just the same thing over and over. And I just could not do it. It just, no. Just not saying it's not for, maybe if you like romance and that is your thing and you like that whole chase of maybe they ended up together. I have no idea and I don't care. So, but if that's your thing and you like that kind of romance, you might like it. It just wasn't for me. My second DNF, and this one I might go back to. It was sent to me from the author, The Pizza Delivery Man's Tale by Ronan Barbour. So this is about Dylan, who is a pizza delivery driver, and he gets this GPS that is demonic, and it's sending him on, it's deliberately misdirecting him. And then he ends up coming across quirky and bizarre residents. Quirky and sometimes bizarre residents of Grantwood. Mysterious thief, known only as the cat burglar, makes nationwide headlines for a string of high-end estate robberies in the area. Is it a matter of time before the malevolent voice interrupting his GPS leads him to the wrong place at the wrong time? One thing is certain, behind one of these doors awaits Vampire Santa, and you will not like his presence. So the Vampire Santa, I was very intrigued. He had asked me if I was interested in it, and I'm like, yes, Vampire Santa, let's go. Christmas horror sounds really good. And I'm not saying it's not bad, and it's not bad written. And like I said, I'll probably go back to it. And it's possible that I'm just not the right audience. And it's possible that once I get into the actual horror, I would like it. But for now, I had to put it down. And I have a feeling I might like it more if I was a guy. I hate to say that, but the dialogue I couldn't get into, just that whole, like, dudes talking to each other dialogue, like, I don't know. Couldn't get into that. And then he goes to parties and he'll just see this girl and like randomly just hook up with some girl. And I don't understand. Maybe I don't understand it. And it's possible that it gets better once you get past all that. And it's possible the dialogue gets better. And I think the story itself was probably really cool. Like, I've heard other good reviews about it. And I love the idea of Vampire Santa and the demonic GPS. So I'll probably go back to it. And I'm not saying it's bad. And so other people may still like it, but for now I had to put it down. So we'll go to horror books that I finished in December now. First one being Secret Santa by Andrew Shaffer. This is set in the 80s. Lucy has been hired on at a publishing company, and she's been out of work for a while, so she was kind of desperate for work. So she takes on this job. She gets it under really weird circumstances. And her big goal there is to get the next big horror author. So she's, going through all these manuscripts that have been sitting forever. But the whole time, she's being hazed by her coworkers. Like, they're doing really shitty things to her. And she's dealing with all that. And she's trying her best. And you feel bad for her because, like, nobody should have to deal with the crap that she's dealing with. Well, it gets really bad at the company Christmas party. And she gets gifted, like, Secret Santa gifts her this creepy German doll that she recognizes. And this doll is demonic. Well, after she receives this doll, her coworkers start having these really terrible accidents, and it's not coincidental. So she's trying to figure out who her Secret Santa is and who gave her this doll. So I gave it 3 stars. It was fun and festive, and I enjoyed like the 80s references, like 80s horror. That's kind of fun. It just needed to be more funny or more scary, and I preferred this one to be more scary. Like, I really thought it was going to be scarier, and that's what I expected going into it, and it just, wasn't as scary as I expected. It was still fun. I would still recommend it. 3 stars. The Sundial Inn by Stephen John Ross. This one was sent to me by the author. This was my first 5-star read of December. It follows Tim and Sarah. Tim and Sarah are husband and wife. They get an invitation in the mail one day to the Sundial Inn. And they haven't, he's very obsessed with his work, and he's very into his work. So, he decides, I'm going to step away. Like, we finally have time together. They go to this trip. They don't think anything else about it. They, hey, cool, invitation. What doesn't occur to them that neither one of them have entered any contests or anything. It don't even occur to them, like, how did we win this? So when they come back from this trip, they wake up on the plane in separate seats, and they don't remember how they got on the plane. They don't remember any part of their trip. They remember getting there, but that's it. On top of that, they're covered in bruises. Like, they're really messed up. And it's very apparent that something really dark has happened. So, and Tim especially is looking very suspicious to everybody. Like, everybody's convinced that he's done something to his wife, and she is really messed up. Like, she's really struggling. But it's dealing with heavier topics on top of that. So she's dealing with all these heavier things also, and she cannot cope. So Tim is the one trying to figure out what happened, and he's doing all this research. Nobody has heard of this inn. Come to find out, the inn had closed in the 50s. Like, it hasn't even been operational in years. So he's trying to figure out what happened, who sent the invite, what all exactly happened. And he ends up getting the help from Miss Lizzie, who is a clairvoyant. Oh, and I also forgot to mention this. This all happens, the inn is actually in New Orleans, which is one of my favorite settings for horror is New Orleans. But Miss Lizzie is a clairvoyant, and she's really interesting. And so you get her history and a little bit of her childhood. You get the inn's history and how it was founded. Atticus Busby, which is the founder, you get his history and this socialite that, had dealings with him. You get, she's really fascinating. So there's a lot of different points of view. There are a lot of different time periods, but it all works really well together. It's not confusing. It goes really well together. It came together really well. It's a really unique storyline, and I thought it was really good. It was dark. It was very, very dark. Even darker than I expected it to go. It went farther than I expected it, which for horror, it's kind of a good thing. That's kind of what I want. I want to be surprised. I want something that's going to surprise me. It's going to take it farther than I expected. That's kind of where horror gets the 5 stars for me, is it being unexpected like that. And this one definitely was unexpected and dark and unique, and just a unique take on the ghost story. We have Something Dark and Others by J.W. Surface. This is a book of short stories. It was sent to me by the author as well. I gave it 4 stars. Short stories, I very rarely give 5 stars to. There's always at least one in there that brings the average down, and that's just part of it. I really enjoyed it. It was a quick read. There was a creepy cave. There was a sea monster, ghost, just something in here for everybody. Next up, we have Dead of Winter by Kealan Patrick Burke. This was sent to me by the Grim Bookworm on Bookstagram, and she also has a YouTube channel now, so I will link her channel down below. But this is a collection of short stories, and I really enjoyed it. They're all themed around Christmas and wintertime. I loved the writing style. I loved the show not tell. As far as short story collection goes, this is one of my favorites so far. I love not being told what to think the whole time, and the point not being just pushed on me, and being able to just draw my own conclusions by the end of it. It was a really fun, quick read. Loved it. Next up, we have The Visitor by Sergio Gomez. There are a group of people taking shelter in a roadside diner because there's a snowstorm happening, and there are these aliens. It's bloody, it's gory, definitely creepy, and just a really good fun time. I really enjoyed it. And I ended up giving it 3 stars. Cafe Vengeance by Clarissa R. Cottrill. I hope I'm saying that right. This is this was inspired by Dante's Inferno. In ruthless New York City, Dane Roman, an ambitious entrepreneur, risks his very soul for success. He exploits a deceased tenant and desecrates the corpse to orchestrate a catastrophic event for wealth. His dreams of celebrating with his girlfriend Pillar are shattered when Cafe Vengeance, embodying his desires, introduces unimaginable horror. Guided by an eerie quartet and a cryptic waiter, Dane faces judgment for his tainted soul in a macabre ballet of his own creation. Cafe Vengeance is no ordinary place. It's a purgatory where Dane must atone for his sins before a greater darkness emerges. Can he find redemption or face eternal torment? Inspired by Dante's Inferno, this novella delves deep into mankind's ancient fear, eternal damnation. With each page, it pulls readers into a nightmarish modern-day underworld in an unforgettable tale of horror. I ended up giving this 5 stars. I thought it was imaginative, well-written. It was beautiful. It was descriptive in a way that made me feel like I was there. But it was very eerie. Dane is the perfect villain because he's greedy, he's manipulative, he's deceitful. He is everything that you want in a villain. It does have gore, it does have grossness, but I thought it was beautifully written. I loved it. It's a short story, but I absolutely loved it and gave it 5 stars. Next up, we have Candy Cane Kills by McAuley. When Austin's parents drag him and his little sister Fiona to a remote cottage for Christmas, he's less than thrilled about the forced bonding exercise. But after learning that their holiday getaway was the site of a horrific crime, this family on the rocks will have to fight for their lives against a legendary killer. Because Candy Cane is slashing through the snow with a very long naughty list. This was so good. This is like my new favorite slasher, and especially my new favorite Christmas slasher, but my new favorite slasher altogether. It was 5 stars. I loved, all the kills were epic. They were so good. Gory, descriptive. They all had like a little Christmas twist to them, which I also really enjoyed. It was definitely festive, and it was just a fun holiday slasher. And I absolutely loved all the characters, and I felt for the characters, and that made it even better because I rooted for them, and yeah, I absolutely loved it. This was so fun. Just a fun, festive slasher. They Are Cursed Like You by Holley, Cornetto, and S.O. Green. This one was also sent to me by the author. This was sent to me by Holley Cornetto. Escape is only one spell away. Courtney and her friends dream of escaping Shady Acres Trailer Park, a place of broken dreams and rusted-out cars. Their wishes seem to come true when Courtney meets an older woman who promises to give them their heart's desires. But as the girls wind up in over their heads, Courtney begins to doubt the older coven's intentions, while she and the girl she loves drift further apart. But there is a force at work behind the scenes, darker and more dangerous than any of them could have imagined. The wolf is owed 4 rabbits, and he's come to collect. I ended up giving this 3 stars. It had potential to, it definitely had potential for 4 or 5 star material even, and I'll explain why it didn't get that. If you see reviews, it says it has the craft vibes, and I did get that. It was dark, it was witchy. The dark witchy vibes is why I agreed to review this. And it does have a lot of my favorite reps in it. It's got queer rep, coming of age, female friendship. All the girls in the little friend group, they all have their own demons that they're dealing with. They all have their own things that they're facing. So there's that dynamic. I liked the parallels between the older witches and the younger ones. So their personalities kind of were similar. So each of the friend groups had the similar personalities. You know what I mean? Danny, one of the younger witches, had a similar personality to Anise, which is one of the older ones. So there was a lot of that where there were parallels between the 2 groups. And I thought that was really cool. It was also really interesting to see how the 2 different groups used their magic differently. I had high hopes for this, and I liked it. I did enjoy it, and I loved the witchy aspect, and I loved everything else about it. The reason it only got 3 stars is because of it had potential for these really huge plot twists. It had this potential for really big reveals. And instead of it being like a huge reveal, it was just kind of like handed over, I felt like. It was just kind of like, oh, well, here's the big thing. Here it is. Here you go. They really missed the big potential to have that shock factor that I love. They just kind of missed the mark on that. But this is the first of a series, and I would definitely get the next one. And I'm hoping that they take note of that, and maybe the next one will be have that more shock factor. But as far as the story goes, I love the story, and I think it's definitely worth a read. And it was definitely fun and had all the witchy vibes and the craft vibes, and I did really enjoy it. So I would definitely read the next one, and I would definitely read more by these authors. So the last 2 are non-horror. I saved them for last in case you're only here for the horror, so you could skip this part if you want to. But first one is middle grade. And I very rarely read middle grade, but this one was talked about so much that I just felt like I had to. And that's Greenglass House by Kate Milford. Christmassy vibes and wintry vibes were definitely there. Magical. The scene was set. It was very much a whole scene. It was a whole vibe. The main character is Milo. He's a 12-year-old. He lives in this house with his parents, the Greenglass house, and it's an inn. And normally this time of year, Christmas time is dead. Nobody's there. But all these people just showed up and they just keep showing up, and they all are somehow related. They seem to all be somehow related to the house in some way. So there's this mystery of Malo and his friend trying to figure out how all these people are related to the house, or how they're, you know, tied to the house. And they're also trying to figure out the mystery with the house. And yeah, it was just a really fun, cute, magical, snowy read. As far as middle grade goes, I would give it 5 stars. Also, when I'm rating these, I'm not comparing this to horror, obviously. I rate these based on what they are. So, yeah, for middle grade, this is a 5 star. I think my kids would really enjoy this too. So, if I can ever get them into reading, I would love for them to read this. The Santa Suit by Mary Kay Andrews. I thrifted this a while back and just thought, oh, that looks fun. I'll try it. I'm really surprised I liked it so much. I gave it 4 stars. And I read this toward the beginning of December, so I don't even remember. Newly divorced Ivy Perkins buys an old farmhouse sight unseen. She's definitely looking for a change in her life. The Four Roses, as the farmhouse is called, is a labor of love. But Ivy didn't bargain on just how much labor. The previous family left so much furniture and so much junk that it's a full-time job sorting through all of it. At the top of a closet, Ivy discovers an old Santa suit. Beautifully made and decades old, in the pocket of the suit she finds a note written in a childish hand. It's from a little girl who has one Christmas wish, and that is for her father to return home from the war. This discovery sets Ivy off on a mission. Who wrote the note? Did the man ever come home? What mysteries did the Rose family hold? Ivy's quest brings her into the community at a time when all she wanted to do was be left alone and nurse her wounds. But the magic of Christmas makes miracles happen, and Ivy just might find more than she ever thought possible. A welcoming town, a family reunited, a mystery solved, and a second chance at love. I needed something light and sweet after all the dark reads. This was perfect. It was cozy, festive, and just a really cute romance read. But I didn't think romance was the main focus. The main focus was the Santa suit and her trying to figure out the mystery of the Santa suit. So that's probably why I liked it as much as I did. Yeah, it was really fun. Those were all the books I read in December. I know I'm a little late, but took me a little bit. I'm still getting the hang of YouTube and editing and my schedule, but I'll get it. So thank you so much for watching. If you like my content and want to see more videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video. And I'll see you next Thursday. Bye for now.